What's going on, Paul? You're at the gym.
Hi, Fouad. Yeah, I was doing legs. Having a great workout.
Not doing legs.
I was doing legs. I just put you the squat rack set up.
You're having a shit workout because I'm not there for sure. What's going on, Paul? You're at the
Well,
gym. Oh wait,
pardon?
go ahead.
Yeah, yeah,
Oh wait, wait.
I was doing legs.
Sorry.
You put you the squat.
Okay, go ahead.
Good.
Yeah, I'm good now.
Like an echo there.
Yeah, I got rid of it,
Uh, yeah, I started a great workout, and then
and then I called you, and it ruined. You
yeah,
got
yeah. So once again, you're impeding my gains,
you can't.
even from half a continent away.
Well, welcome everybody. This is live, by the way, on YouTube.
Oh,
Paul, you
okay.
got to find a place to put your phone down. You can't hold it for half an hour.
Yeah.
Uh,
Okay, I got a thought. I got a thought.
while Paul's finding a place to put his phone down, I just want to welcome everybody to the live stream. I'm in Vegas. Paul was pretending to train legs, and he, he decided to just stop in the middle of his workout to do this episode of Meatballs and Hummus. Um, so, anyways, welcome everybody. We're gonna shoot the shit. We're gonna talk about the O. And I'm gonna get Paul's a judge, but he's at home, obviously watching on TV, so he's not gonna have a as accurate a breakdown. But I'm still curious because most of you people that are watching this are watching from TV, so I'm curious what you guys thought of the show. Um, so what'd you think? Samson fucking won.
Yeah, I know, eh? I was watching from by the time it aired here, must have been 1 o'clock in the morning, 1:30 in the morning.
Yeah,
So I was tired of, but yeah, I was when they announced his name first, I was like, oh man, like what a relief.
you know
But
what's you know what's crazy?
oh,
Sorry, I'm looking at two Pauls right now. I'm trying to fucking fix this. 1 second. Um, you know what's crazy? Usually, I'm on Easter time because we're in Canada and I'm in Windsor, so we're Eastern time. And I'm like, why is everybody complaining about how late it is?
yeah,
Because I'm on the West Coast now, and the show went on at like 8 o'clock.
yeah.
So I was
So
like,
the first night, Friday, I
yeah,
worked until 5. I went to the gym afterwards. I rushed home because I thought it started at 6:30 our time. And
yeah,
I'm like putting on the live feed. I'm like, fuck, something's wrong with the with my phone. I couldn't find it. I was
yeah,
texting a few people, then I realized that the time change doesn't start till 9:30 our time.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I moved from the Airbnb to the hotel. Ian left this morning.
Oh, did he?
Yeah, so I'm in a hotel till tomorrow, and then tomorrow, I come home tomorrow afternoon.
All night.
Yeah, I think I leave here at like 5:30 or some shit. Listen, man, it's fucking crazy. Can I tell you something really stupid? This is gonna sound so dumb, but I felt like I was competing again
Yeah.
because I've taken like a whole bunch of second places, right? Not the Olympia, obviously, I was never at
Yeah.
that level, but like I remember like when they would call like your name, like the placings for first and second, I would sit there with my eyes closed and be like, please call my name, please.
Right. But there's some kind of a doubt in the back of your head that they're not
Yeah,
going to.
yeah.
Yeah.
So when they finally when they put Derek in third, I was blown away because
I was too.
I had Derek second. I'm like,
I Go ahead.
no, no, go ahead. What would you think?
I thought Hottie looked so much better on day 2 than he did on day 1.
He did. He did.
Yeah.
But I still had Derek second because Derek didn't slip at all.
Yeah.
And I thought Derek was a lot better than him on Friday.
Like you said, like the live feed, the first day the live feed was tough to watch. I don't know what was going on with the lighting, but everyone looked red. It was hard to watch.
Summer,
Second day was better, but not
Summer
great.
said
So
still the live stream was super dark yesterday. I was talking to her about it. She said she couldn't see anything.
I thought it was a bit better, but not significantly. But
Yeah.
so it was really hard to analyze from home. But when they did zoom in on Hottie, I was like, holy fuck, he is sharp tonight. But I thought he was third day 1,
Yeah.
maybe first day 2, maybe. But Samson, I thought I was saying this because I was watching it with Tony, and I was like, it looks like Samson's been top 2 both days. Where I don't think Derek or Hottie were top 2 both days. I think Derek might have been second or first day 1. But look
Yeah.
like he was third day 2, and the opposite with
Well,
Hottie. So I was like, if you do those scores, then Samson wins.
according to the scores, Hottie and Samson tied day one.
Yeah, I saw that
and
afterwards.
then Samson edged him out day two,
Hmm.
which I honestly didn't see myself. Once
Hmm.
I ordered some coffee. 1 second.
Yeah.
Hi. Oh, I put it in the wrong spot. Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Look what they gave me, Paul.
That's awesome. Starbucks.
I, I was like, I got this fucking room and there's a kitchen and everything in here. But you know how normally when you get a room, you go in, there's a coffee maker and there's some water bottles and stuff. There was nothing in here.
Oh, what kind of hotel you staying at? Which one?
The Palms.
Oh, yeah,
So
like that. Maybe.
it's a nice hotel. There was just nothing in, and the kitchen's full. Like I got a stove and everything,
Yeah,
but there was nothing. I'm like, I need some coffee. Like I can't
yeah.
survive.
I noticed that in Vegas last time we were there. They don't give you nothing in your rooms. They want you to leave your room against everything.
Really?
Yeah, yeah. At
I don't
least I
remember. I don't remember that.
seemed like it to me. You know, you can smoke in your rooms in Vegas.
Well, I got a balcony, so I can go fucking
Oh, okay.
huff a bunch of cigarettes.
Lots
uh,
of yeah,
anyways, yeah, honestly, listen, we'll get into why in a minute, I guess, but um when they were down to the last two, I was sitting there with my fucking eyes closed. I'm like, you know how it is? It's like in the back of my mind, I'm like, they're not gonna do it. And
that's
then I'm
what I
like,
thought too.
but I was also like, please let them do it.
Yeah, yeah. And then he didn't really give it away. He was like, and new. Well, they're both new,
But
kind of.
when they said new, I thought it was Samson because Hottie's a previous Mr. Olympia,
Yeah,
but
but I
he's
guess
still
he
new.
knew. Yeah, so that's why it threw me off. I was like, oh, I think so, but yeah. But you know, but seeing the pictures afterwards and the better videos that have come out on Instagram and that afterwards, Samson deserved it. Like it looked like it
Oh,
was undeniable.
listen, I predicted him first from Friday night, and we'll get into why. So I did a video on Friday night already, so I don't want to go over all of it.
Mhm.
He was definitely better last night
Mhm.
than he was on Friday.
His size difference seemed to be a lot more apparent last night on the video on the live
He
screen.
he filled out more.
Yeah,
Like last night, you could see he looked way bigger.
he
Like,
looked like it. Yeah, I thought Hottie did too, but I thought Samson was just just his structure, his overall size over those two guys seemed to be a lot more apparent last night.
can I tell you what the problem is? Because like you know, me and Ian were trying to give some commentary. Somebody's asking, was the crowd really chanting Samson? They were
Yeah,
when the top two were. It was awesome, dude. It was like it gave me fucking chills.
really.
Well, yeah, when we were sitting, they're down to the last two, and the crowd in the front left corner, like the whole front left corner, started chanting Samson. They're like Samson, Samson, and I'm like,
Yeah,
what the fuck? And then it started to like sweep into the middle,
yeah,
and I'm on the upper bowl. Like the second night, my seats weren't as good.
mhm,
Not the upper bowl, but like just the second row of
yeah,
seats.
yeah.
I started chanting in my my area. And then everybody in my area started chanting. So like for a bit there, the whole crowd was chanting Samson. It was pretty fucking. It was awesome.
I saw on the live screen like he couldn't get off the stage. People kept rushing the stage to take pictures with him, to shake hands with him, whatever. He couldn't leave the stage. That's awesome.
I couldn't get up there because like they were trying to get me to go up. I wanted to go up to see Samson. The security guards, you can't go up, and if the whole front of the stage was full of people.
Yeah,
Like
it was like UK Arnold.
people were really excited for him.
Yeah,
Like there was a lot of people. Like I know Samson takes a lot of heat
yeah,
online,
yeah.
but there's a lot of people that love the story of coming from like being a construction worker
Mhm,
and climbing the ranks and like you know he's had some
mhm.
ups and downs, but like it's an amazing story. And then he told me today, you know, we went for breakfast. He was like, you know, can you believe like all this happened all at once on the 60th anniversary with the gold trophy and the fucking big ass diamond ring and the $600,000 check.
Fuck yeah.
I was like, you know, Samson, I'm like, maybe you don't need my bonus because it's not really that big in
Yeah.
comparison.
Yeah. Give a pat on the back instead.
Yeah, it's like peanuts. I'm like, just you know, don't worry about
Yeah.
it.
You know, I think what everyone likes about Samson's story is you know, Samson's been real since day one. Like you've seen his struggles, you've seen his journey, you've seen his grinding it out every day, year after year, and
Right.
getting better and better. So who couldn't be happy for that story? You know,
Yeah.
like genuine guy.
We were talking today at breakfast. I remember we did a podcast a while back, and I think I don't remember if he was taking some heat for a show he did or something that happened. And he said to me, I know they think this or this or that, but it's only been 4 years, and this is where I am. He goes, watch where I am 4 years from now. And that was 4 years ago.
Yeah.
And now he's Mr. Olympia.
Yeah.
Like
It's
fucking
crazy,
Jesus
man.
Christ. It's like
His rise, like different story than Ronnie's, but similar type of rise, like the trajectory. Like Ronnie was kind of like chugging along, and all of a sudden he just took off. Kind of like Samson a little bit.
it's a
Maybe not
little
as, but similar.
it's a little different only in that the Olympia itself.
Yeah.
He was kind of like struggling to when I met him, he was like, I just want to qualify.
Hmm.
I don't have aspirations to be the greatest in the world necessarily. He's like, I think about it, but he's like, I really just want to qualify for the Olympia. And then, he started to roll. He started to
Hmm.
get bigger and bigger and bigger, and he started to get better. And I'm like,
Yeah.
some of that has to do with John, and some of it has to do with Milos and like everything.
And Mel.
Well, this is what I was going to say is Mel turned him pro.
Yeah.
And then it seemed like they needed some massaging.
Yeah.
And I introduced him to John, and John did some good work with him. And then unfortunately, John passed. So Milos took over. Milos did some good work with him.
Yeah.
But I think a lot of that work was like John never got to prep him. But I think a lot of that work was more based on size.
Hmm.
I don't know if Milos really ever captured how to peak Samson
Yeah.
because it felt like Samson was always too carb loaded.
Yeah.
And I think that's the change that Mel made was they still carb loaded, but they didn't carb load hard. And I think she was able to bring him in tighter waist, drier look.
Right.
And I think, I noticed it this year. Samson was even in the off season way back. Samson was training with like a fury that like I can't explain.
Yeah.
I think people talking about his wife and people talking about like I think he channeled that anger into like training.
Yeah. It seemed like it for sure.
And he was super focused. He's like I'm going to do everything perfectly.
Yeah.
And I think he used that fucking frustration to fuel his workouts and fuel his fucking prep and like they did it. They fucking did it. And Mel made whatever they learned from John and Milos, they took and tweaked to their own needs.
Hmm.
Mel fucking made it work the way they needed to make it work
Hmm. Yeah.
and brought him in the best he's ever come in. It's
Yeah.
it was pretty phenomenal, man. Like I never, for a while there, you remember people were saying like Samson just has thick skin.
Hmm.
And he's like, I think would compare him to like Orville Burke, or they would compare him to like Lionel Bayecki, or they would compare him to these people. And like, maybe he just can't get shredded. Maybe it's just like a genetic thing. And I was like, I don't know. I don't know if that's it. I was never really sure. I'm like, maybe they're right. Maybe they're not.
Yeah.
Last night, it was not.
Yeah.
And this is the tough part for you guys at home. It's like, you can't see it. Like when I see the photos, I'm telling you, man, me and Ian were putting posts up and people on the threads were like, these two guys are stupid. Like we didn't know we were looking at.
Really?
But
Like after Friday?
yeah, but that's because the pictures and the videos don't match what's happening in real life.
Well, the video was like Summer said, it was dark. So anybody with dark skin, like Samson, William Bonac, Andrew Jack, you couldn't see any detail in these guys, at least on Friday. Saturday, I thought a bit more, but Friday, nothing. You couldn't see any detail at all.
Yeah, I'm not talking about the video so much because I know it was like I guess the video was fucked up, but even the photos that were coming out.
Even the photos, really? I thought the photos were a little bit more
No, they're
clearer.
not. They're not capturing the real story. Like it's weird. Like, you have to see when it's a 3D event, you have to see it in 3D.
Yeah, right.
You know what I mean? Like you can't really capture the size or I don't know, the shape or the
Yeah,
skin texture for real. It just doesn't translate. It
yeah.
doesn't because I'm looking at the photos and I'm like, that's not what I was seeing.
Or even we talked about before on the podcast, the transitions. You miss the transitions with pictures. Transitions tell a lot.
Right. And then the other thing is a lot of the pictures, like when you see a picture of Hottie, what I noticed when I'm skipping through my fucking social media, the majority of the photos are front shots.
Yeah, that's where he looks best.
And from the front, Hottie is Mr. Olympia.
Hmm.
Like there's no doubt. Like his entire front, like front double bicep, front lat spread, fucking his detail from the front is ab and thigh, incredible. Like
Hmm.
incredible. But he was losing ground in the side shots and the back shots.
Hmm.
And I think it's his legs. Like people always talk about conditioning,
Mhm.
but one of the things that people forget is like it's still a muscle show.
Yeah.
So Hottie's legs seemed like they were down in size
I
from
noticed you mentioned it. His hamstrings looked a little bit more shallower from the back, especially. I noticed that, like, they were stripped, but they
yeah.
weren't dense. They weren't, the density wasn't there.
You know what it
The
was?
depth wasn't there, I should say.
You know what it was like when he would stick his leg back to do a back double?
Yeah.
There was no adductor.
Yeah. It was like
So it
just
looked
straight.
like it was just, and then the quad wasn't sweeping out.
Yeah.
So the leg looked really straight and narrow, and the back itself wasn't peeled. The Saturday night it was more peeled than Friday.
Yeah. His back Saturday night looked like he put on 5 pounds on his back alone Saturday night. It looked
Right.
so much fuller.
So that's why I think Hottie fans, when they're like, Hottie's Mr. Olympia, you got robbed, you got this, you got that. I'm like, most of the fucking photos you're seeing are all his best poses.
And also, I noticed with Hottie, like his front shots, as like when he pulls up for the front double bicep, his waist looks small when he pulls up. But before he pulls up though, his waist looks thick from the front, and that crazy detail in the serratus and the obliques isn't there until he hits the pose. So
Yeah.
when he's just standing there in those transitions again, he looks blocky from the front a little bit compared to Samson, especially.
Yeah.
So I think you miss that in the pictures because you don't see that in the picture. You just see him set with the pose set, hitting it, pulled up, everything's in. But so I think you miss that too.
So that was my impression of Hottie. And then, I said the same thing in prejudging. The thing is, everything I said in the prejudge video still stood. It's just Hottie and Derek and Samson all got better.
Yeah.
Samson was more full, which made him look more dry.
Mhm.
Hottie and Derek both came back drier and sharper looking.
Do you think Derek was flatter Saturday than Friday? It seemed to be on the live feed, but again, the live feed was tough.
I don't think so. Like his muscularity and peak looked better to me Saturday night.
It did, yeah.
Yeah, I think this is where Derek lost the show, in my opinion. And I've talked to some people that I don't know how to say it, are reputable sources that would this conversation would matter. In my opinion, Derek lost the show because of the imbalance in his physique.
Yeah.
Let me see if I can I want to show you something, if I can see if I can show you on this. Look at this photo. Can you see this here?
No, sorry, I can't see it clearly.
How's
Somewhat.
that?
That's last year versus this year.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's better for sure.
Okay, so if you look at this, if you look at his legs on the left,
Yeah.
they're bigger than the legs on the right. And then if you look at his upper body is smaller on the left than it is on the right.
Yeah.
Okay, so what does that tell you? His upper body was smaller and his legs were bigger last year. So what it meant was the balance was perfect,
Mhm.
or close to perfect. I still thought his legs weren't perfect last year, but
Mhm.
it was better, right?
Mhm.
But this year, his legs are smaller than last year, but his upper body is bigger.
Yeah.
His back is thicker, his shoulders are bigger, his chest is bigger, but his legs are smaller. So now there's like this crazy imbalance.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like,
I don't know if it's because Samson came in better this year and more complete, but it seemed to expose more of Derek's weaknesses.
no,
Like
I'm,
Derek,
I'm telling you, it is, you're right. It is because Samson better, but Derek is not as good as he was last year because of the imbalance in his body.
I thought his legs looked down. I thought Friday night, again, this is a live feed, but Friday night, towards the end of prejudge, I thought he started to get sharper and I
Yeah.
thought he started to come alive more. But then when he came out Saturday, for some reason, Hottie and Samson seemed to be much fuller to me, and Derek looked not as full, and he got lost to those two to me. And it's like the quad sweep, that seemed to be lacking. The hamstrings, like when you see Derek from the back, that back double bicep shot is so impressive for sure. But if you look at it closely, the hamstrings don't have a lot of detail in them. It's mostly glute
Oh no,
detail in the lower body.
no, there isn't. It's like when he turns to the back, do a back double, he's got an incredible back.
Mm-hmm.
He's got stripped out glutes,
Mm-hmm.
and then he's got decent sized hamstrings, but there's no detail in them.
Yeah, right. Which really stood out to me yesterday. It
Well,
didn't last year.
it stands out to you, especially because Samson's hamstrings are stripped out. Samson doesn't get the completely striated glutes, even
Right.
though he did slightly have them this year.
Yeah.
But he does get dug out in the hamstring.
It does, yeah, and upper hamstrings too, especially with Samson.
So I think Derek did a lot of work this year to grow, which he did, but not in the right areas.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it
So
seemed like his chest came up, but still needs to come up a bit more to balance out that upper body a little bit. He's so wide when he opens up from the front. Um, I don't.
Well,
Yeah,
and that's the other thing from, you know what it reminded me of? I said this to somebody. I said to Ian, I said, it reminds me of the Nick Walker problem. You know, we always talk about Nick, how big his shoulders are and how big his arms are and how big he is up top, and his legs don't sweep so much.
mm-hmm.
It reminded me of that because when he stands in his front relaxed, he's so big, and then his legs don't sweep.
They're super developed in the inner thigh, but the sweep isn't as developed.
Right. So you get like a Y shape to the physique instead of an X shape.
The next, right?
Right. And when you're standing next to Samson, who has massive fucking quads, it really exposes you.
Yeah, for sure. It exposes that.
And look, I think this isn't, I mean, look, I'm shocked, but I'm not shocked because people for 2 years now have been saying if Samson can get in shape, he will win.
Mm-hmm.
And all of them say the same thing. He doesn't have to be as shredded as Hottie,
mm-hmm.
just has to be close.
Mm-hmm.
And honestly, his condition was very, very close.
And you and I talked about before, we felt like the one pose that he had to make up ground on the most was a back double bicep, and he did.
He did. His back, well, that's the thing. It wasn't just conditioning. His back got bigger, his shoulders got bigger, his arms got bigger, his like everything grew, but his waist got smaller.
Yeah, yeah. And man, like Samson goes against the norm, eh? Like guys who I need a year to grow, I need time to that guy has competed more often than anybody else probably at that level of the pro circuit. And he's gotten better every show.
It's funny, I was talking to Samson. I said to him, I said, you've done everything wrong this year.
Yeah.
I said to him, do you know what he did? He took his shirt off at the press conference?
Yeah, yeah.
I went over to Mel and I said, I really wish he didn't do that.
Yeah.
It's not because I knew a day out, he's still holding water. I knew that wasn't going to be the package that we saw on stage.
Mm-hmm.
Other people didn't. They're like, oh, he's out of shape. He's going to look like shit, whatever. I knew that wasn't the problem, but I didn't want all the social media noise to affect him.
Right.
Samson knew what he was doing.
Yeah.
He's like, man, the press conference was so boring. I just wanted to spice it up a bit. and he's like, I knew people were going to talk because I still haven't cut my water or filled out or put Protan on or anything. He's like, so I'm not going to be the way they think. But he goes, I wanted to make it more exciting.
Yeah, he did.
But if you think about it, everything he's done this year is the opposite of what the experts say you should do.
Yeah, right.
He competes more than everybody. He competed at a show 2 weeks out from the fucking Olympia.
Unheard of.
He hired his wife to coach him when everybody was like, you should hire a top guru.
Yeah.
He trains with super high volume. He trains with not textbook form, 7-second fucking eccentrics. He's like,
what I mean? And not axial fatigue doesn't play a part of his
axial fatigue is fine. And then it's he just does his own thing. He's like, this is what I want to do. And I even talked to him about post Olympia. I said, are you gonna keep going? He's like, yeah, I want to do the Arnold.
Really? Good. I was wondering that today.
Huh?
I was wondering that today. What's his next plan? Is he going to do the Arnold?
I think he already said it. Right. I think he said it during a seminar or some shit. He said he wants to do the Arnold.
That's crazy, man. You're like you said, he's doing everything different than what a Mr. Olympia is supposed to do.
You know why?
That he's doing it, and he's doing it successfully.
You know why? It's because Samson fucking loves bodybuilding.
Yeah, he does.
He loves traveling. He's not like, a lot of us, like when I was the same way, and I can't say I'm different. I'm very different from Samson. I can't say I'm different from the other guys.
Yeah.
I never liked traveling. I didn't like being away from my gym. I didn't like being away from the kitchen. Samson's different from all of us, man. He likes traveling. He likes going to different places. He likes meeting different people in different countries and seeing different countries.
And it doesn't impact him negatively.
No.
Which is crazy. He's like, what a Mr. Olympia could you ask for? A guy who's going to compete on multiple shows a year, and he's going to travel
everywhere.
Yeah. And he'll be happy to do it.
And when he speaks about bodybuilding, you can hear the passion in his voice.
Yeah. Right.
So anyway, going to Samson. So we talked about Hottie, we talked about Derek. Going to Samson. Friday night, I felt like he was a touch flat. And then Saturday night came back, they filled him out big time. Mm-hmm. I don't know. I didn't ask Mel what she was doing. I didn't say how many carbs are you giving. So I don't know any of that shit. I'm probably gonna get Samson on the podcast and I might get Mel on too and see if they want to talk about it in
I'm
detail.
sure people want to hear that conversation
Yeah, yeah, because Mel should pat herself on the back.
for
I
sure.
think really really incredible thing that she did, and I think it's really cool that they believed in each other.
Yeah, yeah, and not like you said before, like to not have that guru in your corner, so to speak.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
she's Samson's guru, you know,
yeah,
whether she's recognized as one or not in the industry, she's Samson's guru, and it worked.
yeah.
Yeah, you can't not be happy for that story.
I think if I was going to nitpick Samson's physique, like if we're talking about Samson to be in like the Phil Heath kind of conversation,
Yeah.
I think he still needs a little bit more back,
Hmm.
and they still have to keep honing that condition.
Yeah.
If they can do both of those things, he can be looked at in those conversations as like not only a Mr. Olympia, but one of the best Mr. Olympias.
I think with Samson's shape and flow and muscle mass,
Yeah,
yeah, I think he can be one of the greatest ever.
yeah,
And there's
yeah,
nothing to say that he won't be with the trajectory he's been on. He's yet to
yeah,
putt.
yeah. And knowing Samson, I don't think he's gonna like rest now.
No, it's not enough.
I think Samson enjoys knowing that he's gotten a little better every year, and he probably still wants to. The only thing that's going to hinder him is father time. I mean, like he hasn't been competing long, but he is like 36 now or 37, so who knows?
Yeah.
Uh, but even if I don't know how. Look, we should just enjoy the first one.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
like we're
Let
talking
him
about
enjoy it.
next year.
Yeah. Even they talk about the Arnolds, whatever. Let's
Yeah.
leave Sam right now.
But listen, so uh by the way, nobody knew he was getting 600 grand.
I know they announced it the last second. That was crazy.
He's
And the
like,
ring,
you know what he said to me? He goes, I was standing there, and he goes, they announced Derek at third, and he's like, okay. He's like, I know I'm top two. He's like, and then they announced the money. They said 250 for second and 600 for first. So Samson was like, okay, even if I get second, I get $250,000.
right? What was it? 400 originally?
It was 400 last year, and I don't remember what second place was.
Okay.
So they went up to 250 and 600.
Fuck, everyone's up in the ante.
Well, because it's a dick swinging contest.
Who started that dick swinging contest? Who had?
We did not start it.
We had something to do with it.
I think we maybe had something to do with it in the smaller shows, but
Yeah.
the Arnold and the Olympia have been doing this for a
Yeah. Yeah.
but yeah, I was really really happy and the ring is giant.
Yeah. It looks
Yeah, he let me put it on. I was like, this thing's fucking, it's like a fucking rock, dude. It's crazy.
like it's like a bookend.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And the fucking Sandow, dude, it's heavy.
Yeah. Was a special
He
one they
says
made?
to me, I go up there to I gave him a big hug, and we did our little victory
Yeah.
dance.
I saw it on the live feed.
And then he said, go pick it up. I said, Samson, it's your trophy. I actually felt really bad. I'm like, I don't want to touch your trophy, man. It's your trophy. Like, I just want to congratulate you. And he's like, no, he's like, go pick it up. So I go and I stand with him and I pick it. It's fucking like, it's a piece of fucking hardware, man.
Does he get to keep that?
Yeah, it's his.
Okay, I wasn't sure if it was one of those things you returned it after a year, your name permanently engraved.
No,
He gets to keep that, eh?
him and Phil are the only ones with the gold Sandows.
Oh, what was Phil the 50th year?
Phil won the 50th.
Oh, wow, that's awesome.
But Samson's is bigger than Phil's.
Is it?
So
Phil does a great job in that live feed too with his commentary.
does he?
Gotta
Was
say,
Phil good?
yeah, he's very good. I really enjoy
I
it.
heard from some people that Phil was good, but he needs a better supporting cast. Is
I
that
would agree 1,000% with that.
you
And
agree?
no offense against I'm not gonna say names.
Who was the supporting cast? I don't know who else was.
And entertaining guy, great voice for radio and for for stuff like that. But
Was
just
it,
could have been a bit more.
was it Tim?
I don't know his name, Fouad. I don't know his name. Brown hair.
If anybody I think it's Tim. If anybody in the chat knows who is doing commentary with Phil, please let us know.
Yeah.
Who's this? Hacker Jack says, but honestly, give the boys more money for winning. Dude, don't worry. We will take care of our people. Like Samson's been well looked after. He's been with us for 4 years. Like he's, we're going on 5 years now.
He hasn't gone anywhere for a reason.
Yeah. Anyways, so moving on to Martin.
Yeah.
Dude, Martin.
Crazy. That's got to be the most impressive Olympia debut and I can remember. Who else has placed fourth in their first shot?
One second. Kyle Taylor says, thank you for fostering an amazing community and sponsoring such great athletes. Hope to be team hostile one day. Thank you, brother.
You picked some good athletes for that.
Sorry.
Picked some good athletes.
Yeah. Yeah, I've been pretty lucky. I mean,
Yeah, not lucky, man. You got the right guys for your team.
yeah. You know, like I remember talking to Luke about Samson like 4 or 5 years ago. It was 5 years ago now. And from there I signed him. You know, his first contract was so small.
Yeah.
And immediately we increased it because I saw how hard he was working. He's such a fucking hard worker. I get so mad when I see people say stuff like he's lazy or he's this. I'm like, you guys have no fucking clue, man.
Oh,
This guy's
no.
there's a reason why at this level, he still comes back better every year.
Yeah. And
Guy's a fucking workhorse.
and like he's just a gentleman, Samson. He treats everybody the same. He doesn't treat anybody any differently depending on where you are on, the social scale or
Yeah.
anything.
Yeah.
He
Yeah.
treats anybody the same across the board.
Right. Okay. So going to Martin. I said this in the pre-judge wrap up. I don't know how you felt. You're a judge. This is the most complete person in the entire lineup.
Yeah.
Like most proportionate, most balanced, conditioning incredible, like posing incredible, 20 fucking 7. Like this kid's got it. Like,
Yeah.
holy shit. Like if you're talking like this is a potential Mr. Olympia. You know what I said to him last night backstage? I said, just promise me when you and Samson are battling it out, you still remain friends.
Yeah. I think Martin's a good guy too. Yeah. He definitely will. Martin, yeah, like I said, I don't remember the last time. Like, what was Nick Walker's Olympia debut? Where did he place in his first one? Top 5, I believe, wasn't it?
Was when he took third, was that? Oh no, he was fifth because
First one.
Hunter beat him.
Okay, so like,
Remember
yeah,
Hunter? Remember Hunter was fourth, and I think Nick was right behind him, and everybody was upset because they thought Nick should have been ahead of Hunter.
yeah, that's right, Hunter. Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, like top
Well,
40.
I don't remember fourth place. Like, I mean, Nick was, Nick is a fucking phenom. So to be able to compare to that in your Olympic, that's still something to say, right? Like,
Yeah, yeah.
when Nick first turned pro, everybody was like, this guy's going to win the Olympia.
Hmm.
And
Yeah,
I'm not saying he can't still, but that's good company to be in.
right. Well, Martin was at 212 just a couple years ago.
Martin was a 212.
He did it. Didn't Am I mistaken? Did he not do a 212 his first show or two?
I don't think so, but I don't know.
I thought he did. I may be mistaken there, but I thought he did. But anyways, and look how good he's gotten since Detroit, even, which was March. 6 months,
Yeah.
7 months ago.
This is an interesting question before we get back to Martin. Which one would be the better bodybuilder? Samson with Hottie's conditioning or Hottie with Samson's height?
Good question.
I think Samson with Hottie's conditioning because
Yeah,
Samson's physique is more complete.
because even with the height, you still don't have the same shape and flow.
Yeah. Yeah. Because the only knock, like even now that his back is more developed, the only knock anybody can make is that he's not super, super peeled. But
Right.
It's not a fucking conditioning contest. But if he was super peeled, there would be absolutely zero. He would be, if he had Hottie's conditioning, he would be straight first across the board every show.
Yeah. No. Okay. So Samson brings this conditioning. If this is his new standard that he's gonna, we're gonna expect from Samson, and he's gonna deliver. Nobody touches that for a long time.
I think if this is Samson's new standard of conditioning, the only person that can catch him at this point, because I feel like, and please nobody kill me for this, but I feel like Hottie is on the downward side of his career, not on the upward side.
I agree.
So if his legs are having issues,
Shoulder.
they're not going to get better.
No.
So I don't see him beating Samson again unless he can figure out his leg issues.
Yeah, and a lot of people talk about Hottie's shoulders. The shape of his shoulders, and that's something that's hard to reverse too after time.
So and then Derek can definitely challenge Samson. He has to figure out his quad issue. Like those two, I think those two, like if Derek can figure out the balance issue, if he can actually get his quads to round out, he could still be very competitive and still win an Olympia.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think he can overcome Samson anymore. After what we saw last night, I don't. I just see there's too many.
Yeah, but imagine Derek with the same size quads as his upper body.
But it's also the hamstrings a little bit, the chest a little bit, the overall flow, like his abdominal and quad pose. I just don't. I mean, it's only one
One
pose.
second, I just want to address this. Jard says, what was wrong with Hottie's legs? They looked huge. Guard or Jard, I'm not sure how you say your name. The reason we're saying that is from the front, they look huge. Like his quads still look incredible. But when you turn them to the side, there was a little bit lack of hamstring. And when you turn them to the back, the adductor is missing. And the quad sweep on the outside is a little bit more shallow. So his legs didn't have the same 3D dimensional look from the back as they did from the front.
Yeah.
And from the side, they were definitely smaller as well. So that started to take away from some of his shots.
Yeah, yeah. From the back, he seemed to be like not as dense from the back and the hamstrings. They were stripped, but they were just. I didn't see those dense separations that have been there before.
Okay, so watch this. So we're talking about people that could dethrone Samson.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why we're talking about that. He just won fucking last night.
Oh, I already talked about who can be.
But what I wanted to say was it's Martin or Andrew.
I was going to say Martin.
Because Martin, if Samson continues to get better, Martin's got to catch up at a faster rate.
Yeah.
If Samson stays the same and Martin puts on 10 pounds, that's a battle.
And keeps that shape.
Yeah. If he keeps his shape.
Yeah.
And then if Andrew. So, okay, let's finish talking about Martin. Martin, phenomenal. Second night came back fuller and drier than the first night. And the first night, he was already fourth.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Last night, there was a lot of people I was sitting with. Some people had, like, me and Ian had him at third.
A lot of people did from what I'm reading.
And then the people around us thought the same thing. And some of them were notables. And then there was a couple people that I trust their opinions very highly that had him in second.
Second, really?
Yes.
Being
Yes.
Hottie?
Yes.
Wow.
And I was like, and these are like people you really trust. Like, you're like, yeah, that fucking person knows what he's talking about.
Yeah.
So I think he would have actually placed higher if he didn't fade in prejudging on Friday.
Just again, this is my perception from the live feed, which was not, great. Day one, I actually had Hunter slightly ahead of Martin on day one, slightly.
Yeah, Hunter. Oh, so did I.
Yeah. Day two, I thought Martin came back very impressive, and I thought fourth.
Well, we should talk about that because I had Hunter like, fuck, man. I thought Hunter could have compared with Hottie on Friday night.
He looked crazy, Frank.
I'm telling you, man, if you saw them in the lineup, it was crazy. Like Hottie looked small because you had Hunter, who on stage looks fucking huge.
Yeah.
And then you have Derek, who looks very wide and imposing. Mm-hmm. Then you have Samson. And then you have Hottie. And Hottie from the side was, for some reason, looked smaller.
Yeah, on his quarter turns especially, or side poses too.
Quarter turns and side poses.
Yeah.
So I was like, wow. I'm like, is Hunter in the mix?
Because like Hunter's quarter turns, his quads looked like they were the biggest in that top five.
It wasn't just his quads, it was his shoulders. Like everything was full as fuck. He still needed like this much more conditioning.
Yeah. Yeah. Or was it fullness maybe? I don't know.
No. He was blasting full. Like he was full. He just looked like he had a little bit more to fucking go. I don't know if it was water or maybe he still had to get a little bit sharper. I don't know. But it looked like there was still just a little bit left that was holding him back. But I definitely had him in fourth only because Martin faded at the end of prejudging. Like
right. When he first came out in that first call out, he looked strong.
Right. So, but then last night when he came back, he was full from when he got on stage to when he got off stage, and he didn't fucking fade at all.
He looked like he put on 5 to 10 pounds from Saturday.
And then if we talk about Hunter, I don't know what him and Ben did. I think Ben tried to fill him out some more. I don't know. I didn't ask him specifics, but he looked like he was a little bit fuller, but he also looked like his stomach was fuller.
Yeah, he didn't stand out as much to me Saturday as he did Friday, for sure.
Once his stomach, because he wasn't even doing his vacuum. When he was doing his front double, he was like he wasn't pulling the vacuum. So I don't know if he was like bloated from eating, or like maybe they ate too much, or like maybe he ate something that didn't agree with him. I don't know, but like his stomach, he didn't have the same stomach control on Saturday as he had on Friday.
Yeah.
And I felt like it hurt his look.
Yeah. Did you think that he deserved to slip all the way to 6, or you think he deserved 5th still?
I don't know. I was watching that because at that point on Saturday night, I had felt like Martin was clearly ahead of Hunter.
Yeah.
And now I'm like, okay, so now I'm watching Andrew and Hunter.
Right.
I think when Hunter's waist goes, it ruins the entire flow of the physique. Like he's still massive, he's still got a ton of muscle, but it changes something about the way he looks.
Yeah.
So I think I had Andrew ahead only because all of the nice things about how Hunter looked on Friday were now gone.
And I thought Andrew came back better Saturday too.
And Andrew came back a little better. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and then so if we go to Andrew, who was fifth, what can you say? From the front, he's a nightmare for everybody.
Mhm.
They cut his music because it's funny when Brandon Curry came out before Andrew, or I don't know if it was one person before or two people before, and every fucking word was the N-word.
Really? In Brandon's song?
Dude, Brandon's music was like, and this, and that, fucking fuck you, and this. Just like
Really?
it was, I'm listening to this going, I can't believe they haven't cut this music. So fucking hilarious. I'm like, oh my God, why are they playing this? So I think somebody must have said something because I think Andrew was either next or he was the one after. I can't remember. No, yeah, I don't remember who. I think he was soon after Brandon anyway. And he comes out first swear word. They cut the music.
You could hear some. Apparently, you could hear on the live feed someone yell, "Shut that shit off!"
Yeah.
But you know what I'm confused about was that Andrew's music that he picked that had because it seemed like they messed up his music from the beginning, and then the song they gave him as replacement song was the one with all the vulgarity. No,
No,
the way around.
no. What I saw, what I think happened, what seemed like happened was they have the transition music between athletes,
Yeah.
and then they play the athlete's music.
Okay.
But there was the transition music, and he started to walk out, and then they put his music on, and then as soon as there was like, I don't know if it was an N bomb or if there was a fuck you or something, all of a sudden the music disappeared. and,
It messed him up on stage too. You
and
can see
he's
it.
looking back going, like, what the fuck? Like, play
Yeah.
my music.
Yeah.
And then that's when Bob tried to pick it up for him. He's like, no, we got to play something with less, I don't know, profanities or something.
Yeah.
You could tell he didn't want to.
Yeah. You could tell he was kind
So
of.
he did the splits and fucked off. And I was
Yeah.
like, come on. I'm like, just pose anyways, man. I'm like,
Because they fucked up Breon's music too.
oh, did they?
Yeah, Breon's music was I don't know if I think it just completely shut down, and then
I
they just
think I walked out. I think I walked out of the auditorium or the arena or whatever during some of the classic posing because I was getting a drink and I was talking to Sergio and I got caught up outside. I
yeah
think I missed some of those.
yeah. There was a couple times where the music messed up. That wasn't the only time.
Wait, this guy says, could Samson with Hottie's conditioning rival '03 Ronnie? That's tough.
Ooh, yeah.
Ronnie's the king, dude.
Ronnie's so dominant from the back. I don't know.
I think if Samson had Hottie's conditioning with a thicker back,
Then it's a conversation.
then it's a conversation because now you're talking about what Samson is like if he had a bigger back. He would be like a mix of Flex Wheeler and Ronnie Coleman.
Yeah, a lot of people call him like Lee Haney, which I don't see as much.
Oh yeah, dude. I'll show you the picture.
Yeah.
There's a picture of both of them doing this pose.
Yeah,
Literally looks exactly like Lee Haney's.
really. I just a taller version with better legs.
I mean, he's got better legs, of course, but like other than that,
Yeah, Haney had a crazy back too, though. So yeah, whatever.
yeah, Lee Haney had a good back.
Yeah, great back.
Yeah, yeah. Anyway, so that's Andrew. We didn't actually cover Andrew. I felt like from the front, phenomenal, monster. Posing still didn't get better.
I know, especially from the side. I felt the side poses.
You know what's crazy about that? I feel like if anything can get better in 4 or 5 weeks or whatever it was in Texas, like that's something that you can like.
Simple fix.
Yeah, I don't
Right.
know why. Maybe it's like an awkward pose for him. I don't know. Look, Austin says '03 Ronnie was not peaked. I don't know what show you were fucking watching, man, but '03 Ronnie was peaked as fuck.
Yeah.
He was also 290 fucking pounds.
What does Samson weigh, by the way? Do we know?
No, I am gonna assume he's somewhere around 300, but I didn't actually ask him. He hasn't told me.
They said on the live feed that Andrew was over 300. I don't know what he was exactly, but he did look over 300.
Who, Andrew?
Yeah, he looked fucking huge.
Oh, dude, Andrew, like in person, I'm sure he looked like it on TV too, but like in person, this guy walks out and you're like, I took a picture with him after the press conference.
Yeah.
I looked like a child sitting next to him. He's so fucking big, dude. And when he looks at you, it's actually like you get kind of scared. You're like, this guy may punch my head off my shoulders. I'm like,
Well, he can fight too, eh? So yeah, it's like very humble.
yeah, it's just like oh. Anyways, after Andrew, I think was Rafa. Was Rafa?
Did Rafa finish in 7th? I
I
think
don't
so.
know. Let me check. I think he was. Let me see the official cards. They got to be somewhere here.
He was 7 and Bonac was 8, I want to say.
Oh man. Yeah, it was fucking crazy, dude. It was fucking crazy.
What did you think of,
Chris retired for fuck's sakes.
yeah, yeah, resounding victory. I was really impressed with Mike Sommerfeld though.
No, it wasn't a resounding victory. It was a split victory.
Oh, what for Chris it was?
Yeah, he only I think he won by 3 points or something like that.
Well, they took a long look at the two of them, but Mike Sommerfeld was impressive. He
Yeah,
looked
they
fucking
split points. Ian told me that one, but we were both watching it. Ian was like, "That guy looks good, man," and he's winning a couple shots.
yeah, I thought so too, which like Chris's side chest is amazing. Front double by I had pretty close. Even back double by I had closer, although I still had Chris winning it. But and the classic pose, I love that lat spread that Mike hits. That sort of twisting lat spread he hits.
Yeah,
Oh man, what a pose for him.
I said to Ian, and I don't want to get too carried away with classic because I just don't know enough about it to break it down. I said to Ian, I think that Mike guy is great, but Chris has it.
Oh
Like,
yeah. Yeah.
he's not going to lose.
No, I don't
But I didn't know. I don't know if I've seen a better Chris. Like I think maybe 2 years ago, Chris was better.
yeah.
He looked a little flat last night.
Yeah, I can see that for sure. Or was it just that Mike was the first person to really push him that hard in Olympia?
No, I didn't. I actually didn't feel like his muscle was pushing against the skin. Like it
Okay.
felt like he looked smaller to me. He didn't look like his normal round.
He
And
did look more he did look more fully blown last year, I think, when I remember when I think back to his look from last year.
it's weird because I've seen some pictures, like people put like a side by side from last year to this year, and in the pictures he looks better this year.
Mhm.
But I seem to remember him being like blasting full, not maybe last year, but especially the year before, like 2 years ago.
Yeah, where I remember like his size difference seemed to be a lot more apparent, where this show
Right.
it didn't seem to be as dramatic.
Yeah, yeah, that's what I mean. Okay, so I'm at the scorecards here. Um, William Bonac, I'm sorry, took seventh.
That surprised me, to be honest.
Did it really?
Yeah, I mean, again, the live feed, right? William Bonac's a darker skinned guy. It was hard to see a lot of detail, but he looked blocky to me in the live feed from the front and from the back. I know he's got a shitload of muscle and he gets conditioned, but I don't know. I didn't see it that way in the live feed. That's all.
Well, I'm not going to say you're wrong about him being blocky. He's definitely a shorter guy, and it's his physique is not as like aesthetic because he's got a short waist and all those
Mhm.
things. But it's like Rafa took eighth, and I think he was better than Rafa, especially on Saturday night.
And that's in person. You're saying that, or that's from the picture?
Because remember we were talking about Rafa before the show,
Yeah.
and I kept telling you like all these pictures are in the mirror.
Yeah. Right.
He wasn't big.
I thought when he first came out Friday, he looked good. When he came out by himself,
No,
especially.
no, don't confuse. Like he looked good, but he wasn't the same size as what we were seeing in the mirror photos.
Yeah.
So
And also, sorry to cut you off, Fouad, with
no,
those
go
mirror, he's standing by himself or with his friends. He's on stage now against the biggest guys in the world. So you're gonna
right.
see.
From the front, like Friday night's one thing. So take Saturday night. I thought Rafa came back more full Saturday night
Yeah.
and actually looked a little tighter. Like there was less water. Like it looked like because he filled out, everything was tighter, but then he had a film of water everywhere,
Yeah, really. He
like front and back.
on the live feed, it looked like he faded a bit on Friday, and they
Yeah.
worked hard on Friday.
Yeah,
So
yeah, yeah.
probably was worked harder than anybody else.
Yeah, but I think that's why they filled him out so much. And
Yeah.
he came back looking better because he was fuller on Saturday night. But when they filled him out, they didn't dry him out enough.
Yeah.
So he still looked like he was still a little bit off. And I think if you combine that with the fact that his backside doesn't match the front side in muscular development, that's where Bonac, I think, surpassed him because Bonac was peaked very well.
Yeah. And also Rafa's conditioning doesn't show the same from the back as it does the front.
Right, right,
Yeah.
right. So
What do you think of Brandon? Did you think Brandon? I thought Brandon on the live feed, I thought he could have been a little higher, but again, that's a live feed.
when Brandon walked out, I was like, oh man, he's back. Like I'm talking Friday night when he walked out.
Yeah.
But it's weird, man. Once you see him standing next to people, you're like, wait a minute, there's something missing. He's beautiful to look at. His shape is beautiful, his muscles super fucking round, but he doesn't have deep separation
in the legs. Or
everywhere, everywhere. Like there's no super deep cuts. Like when you look at like, you look at Hottie's serratus, it's like deep cuts, right? You look at like uh pick somebody like Martin's legs, like you can stick your fucking hand in his quad, right? Like I feel like Brandon was conditioned, but the separation's very surface.
I noticed that in the lower body especially. Um, he looked very full too. Maybe he could have been a little tighter.
Yeah.
Um,
His conditioning was good. I didn't think his conditioning
was
was
it?
bad. Yeah, his glutes looked like they were in, like his back looked dry. Like I don't think Brandon gets like that grainy look.
Right.
So I thought his conditioning was pretty good. It's just even at that level of conditioning, there was still no depth to the striations. It was very
Yeah.
surface look, right?
Really. Yeah.
Yeah. So that I think that hurt him. Let me go back to placings here. After Brandon was Akeem,
So where was Brandon 9?
9, yeah.
He was
No,
10.
no, Brandon, yeah, Brandon was 9, Akeem 10.
Okay.
I think I fucking killed you guys in the predictions. I think
Um,
I fucking just murdered you all. I think I won the Olympia, so the whole season's useless now.
well, you're the only one I was that picked Samson, were you?
I'm the only one that picked Samson.
I should. I changed
And
that.
you had and you had Samson, you changed it.
I know. Fuck.
You gotta have belief, Paul. You gotta have belief.
I have none. I have no faith in myself.
No,
Uh,
no, not yourself. You gotta believe in Samson. He's doing it.
and I should have. And I doubted. Yeah. Fuck. Anyway, well, you know what? For me, fucked me up. Those videos of Hottie two
I
weeks,
know.
2 weeks,
I know.
fucking 6 plates on a squat bar. Putting comments like, "I don't eat cake. I train for legacy." I'm like, this guy's gonna win
I'm gonna kill everyone.
everything. Yeah.
You know how much I love watching Hottie on stage? He looks like he's having such a great time.
And it was nice to see the sportsmanship last night with everybody.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like Derek for third place. That's a hit for Mr. Olympia. And to like immediately just go over and shake Samson and Hottie's hand. Hottie too. Like I was expecting, like after last year, I was like, oh, what are we gonna see if Hottie doesn't win? Is he gonna?
I
You
don't think Hottie's gonna make that mistake again. I think
right, yeah, but it just was in my head a little bit. But then he was super gracious. He waited for
imagine he
Samson.
did. Imagine he's like, fuck you, I'm out of here.
Yeah, I know. That's what it was. And then Samson like picked him up. Like it was a great moment to see. For bodybuilding.
Well, I think the one thing I've noticed over the course of the last 3 years is Hottie and Samson respect each other pretty greatly.
Well, and
Like,
look at the battle over the last year or so, how it's
what's
unfolded.
that?
Look at how their battles unfolded over the last year.
Well, I just know that because, when Samson lost to Hottie at the Arnold, Ohio and Arnold, UK, he wasn't upset about it.
No, he wasn't.
Like
No.
he said to me, he's like, I know I lost, and he's like, I want to win, but that's a former Mr. Olympia, and he's a great bodybuilder. And
Yeah.
You could hear the respect in his voice.
Yeah.
And I see the way that Hottie treats Samson,
Yeah.
and you can tell they just have a mutual respect.
Yeah. Right. I had the opportunity to judge that Arnold UK, and after that show, speaking with the other judges, the more senior judges, they were all like, "Samson closed that gap from Ohio. It's getting closer. It's getting closer." And to
Yeah.
see it now, yeah, it's great.
Yeah. Going to Akeem. Sorry, Akeem. Akeem, like I told you guys, remember we were having an argument one time during the podcast. I said he's going to bring it. He
Mm-hmm.
fucking brought it.
Yeah.
He fucking brought it. He was dry and huge, and like every pose looked good except for the back double.
Did he get overlooked Friday or come that much better Saturday?
I don't know if I don't think it's a matter of him overlooked. I think his back holds him back.
But how come it didn't?
I like Akeem. He's a quiet guy. He just does his work. You can
Yeah.
tell he loves bodybuilding. He's not a shit talker. He's not a like, and he's got a ton of muscle and a crazy physique. And his shots from the front
Amazing.
look like they're top 5.
Mm-hmm.
And his shots from the side look like the top 5.
Mm-hmm.
It's just hard to overlook the back when it's like it's just
And it's not even nothing he can do. It's just his attachment.
it's genetic. It's not like you know what I mean. But even with that genetic flaw, he's the 10th best bodybuilder in the world.
Amazing. But he must have jumped up at least 3 spots from Friday. Because Friday
he was being compared more on Saturday. Yeah.
he was the third call out Friday.
He was bigger and fuller Saturday night.
He was that much better Saturday.
Yeah. He really impressed me. Like I don't think I've ever seen Akeem in that like the dryness to his skin and the striations in his shoulders and like some of the details. I don't think I've ever seen that.
No, like the pictures I saw him a day before, 2 days before, I thought that was the best Akeem I've ever seen.
Yeah.
But again, the life darker skin guy was hard to see as much. But
After Akeem was John Jewett. John Jewett was incredible, complete,
yes,
shredded, peaked. probably the best peaked guy in the show. Like you could tell he was as fully as he was going to be and as shredded as he was going to be.
And made significant improvement even just in strong.
But it's a muscle show. Like it's a size matters, unfortunately, for some of these guys. So I think John needs to just keep trying to get bigger. Then we have John De La Rosa. John De La Rosa is kind of the same story. Like he's not as big as some of the other guys, but also I thought he looked better at the Arnold this year. I don't know what you thought from the pictures.
Did you think he looked better Friday or Saturday, John? It seemed like he slipped a little bit on Saturday from the placings.
I don't recall seeing him too much last night. I don't know why.
Yeah,
I don't know
it's a
where I was.
look at him last night.
Huh?
Because Friday they had John in the second call up. And I thought he belonged in there. He looked really good. And then I don't know if they felt that he faded or other guys got stronger, but Saturday he didn't seem to be getting called out as much.
I gotta tell you, looking at this list, I don't think they got not one single placing wrong.
Yeah, you thought everything was bang on, eh? Being
Well,
there.
because after John De La Rosa, you have Bruno Santos, Mo Fuda, and Theo.
Yeah,
Mo was good on Friday. If he was the same on Saturday as he was on Friday, I would have him ahead of Bruno.
yeah.
But he looked like he was a little bit more watery on Saturday. So I could see why maybe he slipped. I don't know. Where was he in prejudge? Yeah, it looked like, oh no. No, he didn't actually. They had him there the whole time, I think.
They had Theo 15th both days.
Don't here, let me show you. You can fucking
So I personally just like Theo's better look than Bruno, but
well, remember we were doing the predictions and we all picked Theo last and you got mad.
I got some comments.
This is the score sheet. So here we got 75, 70, 65. So they had them at prejudging in this order already. Like it was straight. Right. But I think at finals they split a bit. So
And
so Theo actually I think got ahead of Mo at finals.
okay. How did Bonac do compared to the 2 days? Was it the same? I can't see.
Bonac was a 41 on prejudge and a 35. He did better in finals.
He did move up quite a bit. They seem to be taking a much closer look at him in second Saturday.
Rafa and William switched. They had Rafa ahead of William on prejudge.
It looked like that.
Yeah,
I gotta, one thing I didn't like, not to criticize judging, Steve Weinberg, best ever, you can't criticize Steve, but just saying, like, I'm not a fan of that 7-person call at the start. Just too much going on the stage at once. I couldn't focus on any particular physique because they're looking at 7 bodies across the stage, and I found that very hard as a fan, at least.
Yeah.
To focus on what I was looking at, but obviously it didn't impede their judging.
I don't know if I don't think it's a great thing. I think they should stick to 6. I said that yesterday, I think in my prejudge wrap up. I think when it comes to first call, and the reason I say is not just, I know you're saying it for judging purposes.
Yeah.
I'm saying it for athlete purposes. When you're an athlete, it used to be prestigious to get a pro card. It's not as prestigious to get a pro card anymore, but it's still very prestigious to say I was in the first call out at the Mr. Olympia. So if they start making the first call out 7 guys, 8 guys, 9 guys, then they take away that prestige.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like the first call out should be 5 or 6 and stay there.
Mm-hmm.
That way, say I'm a first call out guy, everybody knows it's your top 6 or better, or top 5.
And I can't help but think that the guys on the outside of a 7-man call out are not getting looked at. Like they're getting overlooked. Like you can't scan the stage and analyze each physique when there's that many on there in 5 seconds, 10 seconds of a pose. At least in my opinion. I
Look, I think the judges are probably good enough, and the stage was big enough, and the lighting was so good.
Yeah.
That you could see all 7.
Yeah.
But I do agree with you. It's probably better to break it up, and if there's 15 guys, just break it up in sets of 5. Like
That's what I thought. I thought 5 would, and then like the way I thought, like the style that I like is, if you call out 5 or 6, you're good with your top 3. Send them back. Bring 2 other guys, with that group so they can be compared with the next group. Whatever.
Right. So that's the show. Samson's the best bodybuilder in the fucking world. It's so hard to say. Like it's not hard to say, but like wild to actually say that, and it's true.
A new king has been named.
What a good time for bodybuilding, though. If you think about it, since Sean Roden beat Phil, we've had like a new Mr. Olympia every couple of years, or even less.
Which is cool because for the longest time the champ never got really knocked out. The champ was there until he just got to be a little bit too old and his physique started to fade.
I think that's what's cool though, because I think there was a period of time where like you had to knock out the champ kind of thing when it was a real thing.
Yeah.
And now they're like, no, if you fucking like Angela Yeo or whatever her name is beat Andrea Shaw at the
Oh,
Wings of Spring show.
right.
Like that's cool. That's
Yeah.
good. That made
Yeah.
it. Now I'm paying attention to women's bodybuilding. I'm like, who won? And
Right.
when and then when they came out, Angela looked more shredded, but Andrea has a beautiful physique.
And she did that work in like 8 weeks to get better, and like
Wait a
wanted.
minute. What happened to my YouTube? Oh, I think we're back. All
It's
right.
almost like that you're that Gunter beat Harani in a Grand Prix
Yeah.
show,
Yeah, it makes it exciting. It's like let them lose. It's
right?
okay. If they actually lost, let them lose. Like you don't need to keep somebody crowned as like the best. Like, because like think about it. I didn't care about women's bodybuilding. But after that Angela beat Andrea, I was like, oh, I want to see what happens.
Yeah, for sure.
And Andrea came back so much better. I'm like, her physique is beautiful. She's not as shredded as Angela, but
Don't need.
she makes up for it. Yeah, she doesn't need to be.
Yeah,
And I think this is the other thing people don't understand about judging. They're like, well, that guy's more shredded. Why didn't he win? I'm like, it's not a conditioning show.
that's why like we talked about a lot, Fouad. Like it's that's why I think it's good to educate people about what judges are looking at, because it's easy to say like, well, she's just better. Why is she better though? Explain it to us.
Right.
So
Right. Well, and that's the thing with Andrea. It's like the muscularity, the way the muscles insert, the shape, the flow of her body, the size of her waist is a little bit smaller. Like everything about her body is better, except for Angela is like 10% more shredded.
right. So that 10% should
Enough.
make up for the
It's
20%,
not a
30% of
yeah,
everything.
it's not enough for everything else.
Yeah, right.
So it's like, you know
And
what
that's
I
what's
mean?
beautiful about bodybuilding. It's not based on a score where like who scores the most goals or whatever. It's that whole package.
And then Keon won the 212 again.
Yeah,
I thought Sean was off. I don't know why he came in so small. I don't know what's going on with Matt, but he did well with Brett, I would say. Brett won his show, but like I don't know, whatever happened with Nick, I think Matt should take a lot of that blame. And then Sean wasn't his best. I don't know if that's Matt's fault or something else, but I don't know. Matt was invincible for a little while, and now you're like, wait a minute, he's not invincible. His guys aren't coming in at their best.
he's got a
So
lot going on in his life. He's a
well, that's
business.
the thing. It's like I don't know if it's because he's a business owner, or if it's because he's doing endurance stuff, or like he's just got other passions now. Like,
Yeah, whereas you see the guys like Stefan and Hani, Mel with Samson, the people who still are delivering, they're with their athletes like day after day. They're on top of everything.
Stefan and Patrick and like
Yeah,
all these guys, like and Mel.
but that's the same.
Mel's in the same conversation now.
Yeah, yeah,
That's awesome. He said,
but
what they told me today? I was having breakfast with both of them, and they're like, Mel's been getting calls left and right,
yeah, everyone now.
coaching, and she said to me, she's like, maybe when Samson's done, but right now I just want to focus on Samson.
For her.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Does anybody in the chat have any questions? We'll take a few questions, or is there anything else about the show you want to talk about? Oh,
No.
what do you think of Wesley?
Oh man, a classic, eh? Yeah, those legs really got exposed.
Right.
The uncompleteness of his physique got really
Do you think
exposed.
he was? Do you think he tried to come in sharper at the Olympia than the Arnold, and his legs looked smaller? Because his legs didn't look the same to me as at the Arnold.
Yeah, they looked a little
They
more.
looked down.
Oh, yeah, they did. Yeah, like I said, I don't know if that's just because everyone else in a bigger lineup and a better lineup that was exposed more so.
Yeah.
Because like Mike's legs were crazy. Urs was sized up. Urs.
I don't know. It's weird. Urs looked huge, but I don't know why his tan was so bad.
I was talking to me and Tony were saying like, what the hell happened to Urs's tan?
He looked white.
And why? And that was a problem Friday. Why didn't it get fixed for Saturday?
Yeah. Maybe he thinks he looks better when he's not as tanned or something.
It must have been because there's no way that got overlooked. There's no way
Yeah.
that, like,
There's no way somebody did tell him, "Hey, you're white."
right. There's no way. But
Yeah.
for sure, old. And with his hair being the way it was,
This guy wants to know. Isma says, "Is Paul disappointed with Theo's placing?"
yes, I was. I thought he should have been a place higher at least.
Um, let's see. Is there any questions here? Paul, 1 second. Paul, how is there an 8-point tie in prejudging when there are 7 judges?
Someone asked me that. So, obviously they removed the high and low.
Yeah.
And then, so I don't know how that math worked out, but, obviously it did. Must have been a couple seconds, maybe a third in there for each of them. I don't know.
I think Urs takes Classic next year. Yeah, who do you think will win now that Chris is gone?
Like that guy was impressive.
I got to tell you, and I'm not being a hater, I don't love his physique.
No,
I feel like his chest is really big and his arms are pretty big, but he has small delts and it throws me off.
okay, yeah, I think even his
And
hamstrings.
there's not a lot of separation between the delt and the chest.
Okay, even his
Everything else is beautiful.
yeah, his quads were great, but I thought even
Yeah.
his hamstrings were a little bit underdeveloped compared to his quads.
Yeah.
Like his glutes were etched, but his hamstrings didn't have as much detail. I think there's still work to be done, but I think he's the first person to really push Chris.
Yeah. Somebody said, is Samson doing the Olympia or the Arnold? We talked about it a little earlier. Um, Look, I don't speak for Samson. I'm pretty sure I'm pretty sure he said publicly that he wants to do the Arnold, but don't quote me. Like if I think he wants to, but I don't know. Let him. He'll tell everybody what he thinks.
I imagine the Arnold people are going to raise the ante now too.
Well, yeah, I don't know, man. This is going to be a big dick swinging contest, but it's good for the bodybuilders.
Great for the bodybuilders.
Samson will walk in there and win $1 million. Maybe Arnold just be like, "Fuck you, make it $1 million."
It's a billion.
uh, Fouad, how do you feel having two great bodybuilders in your team? It feels phenomenal. I mean,
Hmm.
fuck it. Martin, it feels special to have Martin, but obviously me and Martin have only been talking for a few months and he only signed about 2 months ago. So I'm very, very happy for Martin and I feel very honored that he's part of our team. But my story with Samson is 4 years old. And I signed Samson when nobody even knew who the fuck he was.
When he was doing workouts in hotel rooms before show.
That's where it got me. When I
And
saw him doing that workout in the hotel room, I'm like, I gotta sign this fucking guy. He's nuts.
some things are
uh,
made.
Adam Melendez says, Fuad, you said in your podcast you like big men. Are you trying to compete for the number one spot of who's the most gay? Yes, I don't know. What do you think about Mr. Olympia rings? I think it's awesome. What do you think, Paul?
Oh, I think it was great. Real nice, beautiful, beautiful touch.
They're massive. They look really cool. They're worth a ton of money.
Are they? I'm sure they
Yeah.
will.
I don't want to say what they're worth because I don't know if they want that out there, but it's like it's fucking a lot.
And that's something you're going to keep the rest of your life. Even you got the sand out too, but that ring, man, fuck, that's only if you
It's also cool that you can wear your trophy.
right. Yeah, you can wear it to like
Ass fucking ring.
like like you see Tom Brady and Bill Belichick wearing their Super Bowl rings. To big of like yeah, you wear your fucking Mr. O rings.
Like imagine they had him when Phil or Ronnie were competing and Phil they have like 7 fucking rings.
Oh, that'd be so great.
I mean, or 8 rings.
Fuck, I don't like pimps. Hands just lined with rings.
Fuad, you can see how much you mean to Samson and how much he means to you. How does it feel being a relatively new company to have a freaking Mr. O? Stressful because now we have to keep up with the popularity of Samson. we have
Good,
a lot of work to do.
yeah, good stress though.
Yeah, good stress. Yeah, that's always good stress. Where did you guys get breakfast? IHOP. No, Savannah. IHOP was Samson's favorite place, and I think he had one bad meal there. He's like, I never want to go there again.
Really?
Yeah, he's over IHOP now. He's like, I don't, because I guess they had a really bad dinner there one night, and they're like, he doesn't want to go back. So we went to a place called the Omelet House. It's good. Yeah,
Sometimes people say there's bad IHOPs in other cities. I don't know.
yeah, I don't know. Fuad, how did the Sandow feel to hold? It felt wrong. That it did. It felt honestly, it felt wrong. I'm like,
Like it should only be held by Samsung.
I'll compare it to this, and motorcycle guys will appreciate this. When you meet a motorcycle guy, and you're like, hey, your bike's nice. And they're like, well, sit on it, man. See how, and you're like, no, I'm like, always like, no, I don't want to sit on your bike, dude. It's your bike. It's like a respect thing, right? So when Samson said, hold it, I was like, no, no, no. That's your fucking shit, right? So it felt a little uncomfortable to hold it because it's Samson's property.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it felt really fucking awesome that I got to share it with him. So,
Yeah. They're really heavy or what?
huh?
They're really heavy?
It's fucking heavy.
Really?
I would say, if I had to guess, I would say it's like 60 pounds,
I
maybe,
wonder
maybe 70.
I wonder if they arranged to ship it back to your home for you.
No, they give you this case. It's so cool now being like friends with the Mr. Olympia because I like get to see all the like the cool stuff behind the scenes. They
Yeah.
give you this big fucking travel case.
Oh, cool.
You can put it in there and like lock it shut, and then you can just check it on the plane.
Oh, that's cool. That's cool.
Yeah. Which bodybuilder had the best of each body part? What do you think, Paul? I think Samson had the best chest.
And you could maybe quads too.
I was gonna say quads, but Martin had some pretty fucking sweet
Oh
quads.
yeah. Yeah,
So
yeah.
does
Around it.
so does Hottie. Hottie's quads from the front are pretty impressive. But
Yeah.
Samson probably has the biggest quads.
Biggest yeah, okay. So Samson's chest you're saying?
I think chest for sure.
Okay. Back Derek's.
Back Derek for sure.
Arms Brandon.
Glutes Derek.
Yeah.
Arms Brandon.
Whose shoulders?
I was just thinking shoulders. I like Martin's because they're stripped out, like they're very, very striated.
Andrew.
Andrew's shoulders, yeah, dude. Andrew's shoulder,
Yeah,
Andrew's abs, Andrew's abs,
for sure. Yeah.
Andrew's shoulders and abs.
But with Hottie's serratus and obliques. Yeah.
Probably have to say Samson's hamstrings. Is there somebody with better hamstrings?
Um.
Martin's hamstrings are pretty fucking dugged out too.
Yeah.
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 Then Hunter, you got to take into consideration. Hunter's fucking legs are massive. I don't know. It's tough. We got some pretty good ones though. I think we got most of the body finished.
I think so. Yeah. But I would definitely take Brandon Curry's arms. Look at his arms up. Check those arms, man. They're massive.
Who's
And
that?
Brandon's arms.
Oh my God, yeah.
Nuts.
This guy says, how did you feel after C-Bum's speech? Honest to God, I don't want to be fucking cheesy, but I kind of felt special that I got to be there when he retired because I feel like people are going to look back at Chris 30 years from now and they're going to think of him like Arnold.
Yeah, and as Ian's friend too, I was happy to see him recognize Ian for all being there with him.
I said that Ian sitting next to me, right? So I don't know if I think Ian might have had a hint it was happening, but I don't think he knew.
Okay.
So when he started doing it, Ian was like, "Oh fuck!" And then he mentioned Ian, and Ian got a little bit teary, which I thought was really nice. I patted him on the back. I'm like, "Man, you deserve that."
He does it. Ian doesn't get the credit that he deserves.
Well, because people, Ian was very like he wanted his own career to shine, and he didn't want to be known as Chris's coach, so he didn't talk about it ever. But I think it was cool of fucking Chris to let people know, like, hey, he got me into this. He won me my first 3 Olympias, blah, blah, blah. And I think Hani is definitely a larger presence in the industry. So now when everybody thinks of Chris's coach, they think of Hani.
Forget.
But don't forget that the first 3 were with Ian.
Yeah, not only the first 3, but his whole way of becoming a pro, becoming as an amateur, all that time.
Yeah.
And that was one of the first things Chris said, which meant which showed how much Ian's meant to Chris, which I thought was really cool.
It was really cool, and it was just like being there in that moment. Like the whole crowd was like hush.
Yeah.
And he was talking, and then when he was done, dude, everybody fucking stood up and gave him a standing ovation. Like nobody got that last night. Like because somebody else retired. I think Sidney Gillian retired.
Yeah. Yep.
And none of the winners got that kind of treatment. Like everybody got out of their fucking seats. I got out of my seat and they cheered for like a good 1 minute and 30 seconds.
Yeah, that was a nice one.
And he's standing there crying. And I'm like, it felt really fucking cool, man. I'm like, I never understood people retiring when they're on top, but I think I kind of got it last night. Like there's nothing left for him to do.
Yeah. And
you got 6 Olympias. Like you could probably do 7 if you want, but like the world is his oyster. Like he can fucking do anything.
But you can see the genuine gratitude with Chris too. Like nothing is taken for granted. Nothing was given to him. It's all earned. But he's a genuine person, and I think that's why, again, like how can you not like Chris Buxton?
Right,
like
right.
Model for a sport.
This guy says, "How high is Paul right now?"
No, actually, not right now. I will be in about a half an hour.
This guy says, "Sam and you are still cool." That's for the haters.
I saw you saw.
Yeah, I saw Sam at pre-J. He came up and gave me a big hug. We took a picture together. Look, people think whenever somebody leaves your company that you have to hate them. Me and Brett have always been fine. Me and Sam are fine. The people that I don't get along with are people that wasn't just because they left my company. So, but yeah, me and Sam are great. I think Sam, actually, I don't want to say divulge anything. I think Sam's got some good stuff going on. I'm really happy for him. So, he's doing his thing and it's good. I kind of miss him, to be honest with you.
I like Sam.
When I met him, like not met him, but when he jumped on my back and he gave me a hug and we took a picture, I was like, fuck, I miss that kid.
He's a good kid.
I was like, I miss like just being around him when he's training because he's so like passionate about training.
Yeah, the innocence of Sam.
Yeah, the innocence of it all. It was like, man, I really want to be on the ride for this fucking journey, right? And people misconstrue that. People take that as like, oh, you just want to milk his popularity and be rich. I'm like, no, actually, like, I don't know if this is a selfish thing, but like when Samson wins the Olympia, I feel that.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And I don't feel it in a sense of like, oh, this is going to be great for my company. I'm like, that's incredible. Like, I feel like I get to live it with him.
Yeah.
And I'm like, and that's kind of what I wanted for Sam. I'm like, Sam's going to compete one day. And I'm like, I want to live that journey with this guy. I want to support him. I want to be there for him. Like, so it's weird. People have a really like misconstrued idea of what it means to sponsor somebody.
Yeah.
And I'm not trying to say it's not business. Obviously, there's a business aspect, but it starts to be more than that when you develop a relationship with someone.
Well, you're traveling with them. You're staying in hotels and Airbnbs with them.
Working out with them, you're giving it, they're calling you about advice with their family shit. They're calling you about like contract advice. They're calling you like, man, Samson calls me all the time, like, hey, what do you think about this? What do you think about that? Like, this is going on. What do you think I should do? Like, I'm honored. Like that kind of stuff is flattering to me that he respects my advice. You
Right.
know, but
And,
at the
and
same time, I know not to be in his business.
yeah,
Like, I don't ask him about like what he's eating. I don't ask him about his posing. I don't ask him about his protocols. I don't ask him about what he's doing with Mel and coaching. I don't talk to him about his social media. Like, it's a perfect balance of like, he knows I'm here to support him when he wants.
right. Yeah. Yeah. And that's a beautiful thing. I mean, who wouldn't want more good people in their life?
Hey, James is here and Milan is here.
Oh yeah.
Hi, Milan. Hi, James. Where's James? Somebody said James is in the chat. James. There he is. All right, boys, he says.
See James back on stage.
James, we got to do a podcast this week when I'm back in home. When's the next bro chat? The next bro chat is probably going to be airing Wednesday. Mel is coach of the year. Yes. Hardcore fans know you, Fouad. You are bodybuilding. Thank you, man. I appreciate that. Samson coming from blue collar background in hostile, believing in him before he was big. Now both being a top tier bodybuilder. Is what dreams are made of. Let's see what else. People like cigars and whiskey. Bodybuilding podcast. I don't even know what that is.
Who wants to drink cigars and who wants to drink whiskey and smoke cigars on the podcast now?
No. I'm saying I think that's a different podcast.
Oh,
I think. I don't know. Anyway, try to get Sam to do the Detroit show. He's wanting to do a show around then. Yeah, that'd be awesome. Yeah. Okay, we're gonna wrap up. I gotta go take my motorcycle back to the rental place. Dude, I rode everywhere.
yeah, it's a good trip, eh?
I rode along the coast of the ocean. I rode through the fucking mountains of California. I rode through the redwood forest.
Oh, you did, eh?
Yeah, and then we drove a car from Sacramento to Vegas, which is like an 8-hour drive. Then in Vegas, I went to the Hoover Dam, which is fucking enormous.
Really? I've seen
Yeah,
pictures.
I went to the Hoover Dam, then I went to Death Valley,
Oh yeah.
and then I went to Valley of Fire.
I don't know what that is.
I've ridden through every type of terrain you can imagine in the last like week. It's been fucking incredible, man. I'm living a dream right now.
Before
So
I
anyway, I gotta go take the motorcycle's supposed to go back tomorrow, but I don't think I'm doing any more riding, so I'm taking it back today.
Yeah, it's only what, 4 o'clock your time right now?
Yeah, actually it's just 4 now. I gotta be there at 4:30, so I'm gonna have to wrap up. Okay, everybody in the chat, thank you for coming in, shooting the shit with us. Paul, I miss you. It's been like
But my workouts haven't been the same. I gotta admit, I had a shit leg workout tonight.
your workouts are just probably dog shit. You
I've,
can't.
I've lost muscle for sure in the last week and a half.
I got to keep you going. See, I got to keep you going. Tell these people in the fucking chat you only look like that because of me. Tell them.
But it's largely attributable to his influence, definitely.
Go ahead. Ask Paul if there's any time he's hated you. Oh yeah.
Paul's yeah, we had Bobby before.
Good night. Good night. Good night, James. James, go to bed. Good night, James.
You okay for ride home? You got someone picking you up tomorrow night?
Oh yeah, I got my car at the airport. Listen to the guy who said, has Paul ever hated you? Oh my God. Listen. You know, when for any of you that compete out there, you know, when you're in prep and your fucking wife hates you because you're being a fucking dick. Paul's like my second wife because I spend every day with him at the gym or whatever, doing whatever. So he's caught me in some really irritable, shitty fucking moods. So I'm sure there's been.
To be clear, I never hated you, but there's been days where I'm like,
they're a lot less now, though, right?
A lot less.
Far less. A lot less. Okay. All right. Everybody in the chat, thank you for watching. Paul, I love you, buddy. I'll be home tomorrow. Tomorrow's my birthday.
I thought it was the next day. I'm sorry, I'm an asshole. I'm a shit friend. I thought it was the next day.
What did you buy me for my birthday? I'm just joking.
I'm sorry, I'm a shit friend. Fuck.
I'm a shit friend. No, you're not. Dude, we're 50 years old. Nobody cares about birthdays anymore.
You're not 50 yet, but yeah. Anyway.
Okay.
Anyway. Safe
Okay,
travel.
I'll see you. I'm sure I'll talk to you before tomorrow, but I'll be home Tuesday.
Yeah. Okay, man. Have a safe trip home, and yeah, I'll see you when you get here.
Okay, brother.